Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Tech Guys Midnight Court from the palatial The Tech Guy Studios, also known as my bedroom. And the reason why we're able to do this from my bedroom is unfortunately my wife's been having some hip problems and has had to sleep on the recliner. So the palatial The Tech Guy Studios are available at midnight tonight. So it's the Tech Guys Midnight Court, which a few years ago would have been at CPAC, but it instead is here broadcast live from the palatial DaTechGuy's studios. We're delighted to have you join us, whether you're watching the show through the live stream, or whether you're watching it later, as we're just going to email this out to subscribers. Great to be back. We're still doing some live radio, and just a reminder for those of you who might be tuning in that you can catch me on regular terrestrial radio on WQPH 89.3 FM, Fitchburg, Shirley, Fitchburg, I should say. The show is Your Prayer Intentions. It's a Catholic radio show because I'm very Catholic. I do a Catholic radio show every week, and I do have a book called Hail Mary, the Perfect Protestant and Catholic Prayer. It makes a great Lenten or Easter gift if you want to kick in a couple of bucks and pick it up. You can find it on Amazon. You can order it directly from me. Order from me. I'll even sign it for you. Well, I've been teasing the whole Trump as Kamikaze Scotsman business for a couple of days, and that's got to sound a little weird, but I'm going to start with the coronavirus. And I'm going to start with the coronavirus because it ties in with the whole Kamikaze Scotsman business. Now, just as a note, some of you might know what I'm talking about when I say Kamikaze Scotsman. There's probably quite a few of you who do not know, but some of you may get the joke that I'm referring to. But let's start with the coronavirus. And I have to say, it was gratifying today as I was heading off to my therapy. Remember, I busted my shoulder a couple of months back, and I'm still in therapy. My left shoulder isn't where it should be yet. To listen to Rush say basically the same thing that I've been saying on Twitter, that the coronavirus is the new Russia, 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 or the new Ukraine, 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 or the new impeach, impeach, impeach. And what basically it is, it's the Democrats trying to, oh my God, Trump is going to blow this up. Oh, Trump is bad here. Trump is bad there. Trump is this. Trump is that. That is what we are getting with this coronavirus stuff. This is pretty much all that's going on with it. It's all, oh my God, Trump's going to destroy the world. And the fact that we're still getting this is an amazing thing. Now, in the end, the coronavirus, if you're old enough, you'll remember SARS, you'll remember swine, you'll remember all of these other great viruses that came through that we had all this hype about. And it turned out that it became basically a form of flu. And because the stuff that really is deadly kills a lot of people. It doesn't just kill like a small percentage of the people who get it. It kills most of the people. Like Ebola, that's something that kills people who get it. This is going to be percentages that die, especially in a place like China, which does not have the same medical facilities as the United States, and as a closed society, cannot admit certain things. I mean, look at Iran, for God's sake. You've got Iranian mullahs saying, put essential oils in your anus and this will cure the coronavirus. We're supposed to make deals with these people. It's really amazing to watch this go on. And it's even more amazing to see people taking these guys seriously. I mean, the last administration made deals with these guys. But what's really funny about all this coronavirus guts is it's sort of like my Donald Trump song. And it's based on the old song, Henry VIII, I Am, I Am. I'm the MSM, I am. I'm going to get Trump. Yes, I am. So we had him a couple times before, but now we've got him. Yes, I'm sure. Oh, crap. We missed him. Next time. I'm the MSM, I am. I'm the MSM, I am. Second verse, same as the first. And you can repeat that ad infinitum. That is a great description of what the media and the Democrats have been doing since late 2016. And it's, again, I look at this and they say it's insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And we've seen this kind of insanity. Oh, Trump's going to doom us. Oh, Trump this. Oh, Trump that. Oh, Trump's evil, over and over and over and over again. Now, I've been following politics since I was like 9 or 10. Actually, make that 8 or 9. And the only thing I followed longer than politics is baseball, which I love. And on a totally unrelated note, if you're interested in tabletop baseball gaming, I'm going to be running a Dynasty Baseball League. If you go to dynastyleaguebaseball.com, you can join our Great Games League. We'd be happy to have you. We're going to be playing a lot of great teams, 162 game season. Game is worth your while, let's put it that way. But I've been following only baseball longer than politics. I've been loved baseball since I was like 5. And I've never seen the type of reaction that we've seen for Donald Trump, I should say, than any other president. The media didn't get this insane over Ronald Reagan. The media didn't get this insane over Nixon. I mean, it's crazy. And the crazy began immediately. Because we have to stop, and it was kind of odd, the imperative to stop Donald Trump. I mean, if I was the left and Donald Trump was elected, I would think it'd be more important to, oh my God, instead of trying to stop the election that's already happened, try and take advantage, because if they thought he was going to be a failure, then that, and this is something that hits me. Maybe they didn't think he was going to be a failure. Maybe that's why the panic. But the panic is ridiculous, and it's like the boy who cried wolf, except for the wolf never actually comes. And for those of you who do not know the old story, the boy cries wolf, wolf, and people come running, and there's no wolf. And finally, when the wolf shows up, they won't come. But the left has been crying collusion or evil, or Donald Trump's going to do all these terrible things. Blacks are going to be re-enslaved. I had a woman at my work, a lesbian young girl, mid-20s, Bernie supporter, who was absolutely, positively convinced that Donald Trump was going to put her in a camp. She was going to be put away in a camp because she's a lesbian. And she really believed this. And you hear a lot of people, the left has been selling this, that the stock market is going to tank, all these horrible things are going to happen, the economy is going to go bad, people are going to be locked up, there's going to be death camp. We've been hearing this. And you would think that none of these things happening over the last 4 years might be a clue. And that's why I reference Kamikaze Scotsman. Now, let me explain what that means. Basically, what you have, it's a Monty Python reference. For those of you who do not know, Monty Python's Flying Circus, one of the greatest comedy acts that ever existed. One of their members just died, Terry Jones. Their last show, which was 5 years ago, was called One Down and Five to Go. And now I don't think they'll have a 2 down, 4 to go show, because there's only so many of them left, and they're all in their 80s. But they had this sketch a while back called Kamikaze Scotsman, where you had a Scottish regiment that basically they all commit suicide. They're trained to be suicide commandos, and in their training, they're jumping off a castle. They're playing bagpipes and jumping off a castle and dying. And of course, the problem is that, of course, the training is killing off everybody. And in the skit, the very last of this officer comes up and saying, "We have a job for you, boys." And unfortunately, the sergeant major keeps sending them off to get killed, to jump off the battlements of Edinburgh Castle, until finally the very last one, McDonald, is pulled off before he's trying to kill himself. They pull him off because they have a special secret mission for him. And they run into, the sketch goes into a lot of different places, which is what Monty Python does. But in the end, the commanding officer is giving a summary of the plan. So here's the plan. Captain McDonald will lull the enemy into a false sense of security by giving them lots of cash, good jobs, decent home, and a steady job. And every time I see the left go nuts on Donald Trump, I think of that. What has Donald Trump done? It's like to the black community. Today I was tweeting about something. I was tweeting about uh, the fact that people were going on about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, and it was very, very funny that this woman was saying, "Oh, I was worrying about if only we had Hillary Clinton," and I said, "Hey, you can draft on the second ballot." And this woman who used to be on my radio show, she used to talk about. She used to be one. We used to have a panel on my radio show, the Tech Guy on the Radio, and we'd have one liberal. It was the opposite of the mainstream media, where we'd have two or three conservatives and we'd have one liberal just to make it fun. And she tweets back, "At least we have an option, but you guys call us around a racist and pussy grabber." And I love that these people keep calling Donald Trump racist, because they weren't calling him Donald Trump racist. And remember, he's 72 years old. When he was 62, no one was calling him a racist. When he was 52, no one was calling him a racist. When he was 42, no one was calling him a racist. He only becomes a racist to Democrats until he became a threat to their power. And that was the tweet. And I replied, "Yep, nothing's more racist than dropping black unemployment and Hispanic unemployment and prison reform. Apparently, President Trump's evil plan is to draw black and Hispanics into the U.S. in a false sense of security by providing so much prosperity before enslaving them." And that's really the Monty Python line. They're going to give them a false sense of security, lull them into a false sense of security by giving them lots of cash, a good home, and a steady job. In other words, then this is what has happened to the black and Hispanic community. You've seen unemployment record lows. Black teenagers unemployment record lows. Hispanic unemployment record lows. Women unemployment record lows. Wages going up. In other words, he has delivered prosperity, but Trump is still plotting to get them. He's still a racist. He's got some cunning plan that he apparently did not execute during his first 4 years, because it's so cunning. So we are going to have a more cunning plan where Donald Trump is actually going to do all these horrible things. So all of these minorities and all of these people, he really is. So all of this good stuff is just to lull you into the false sense of security. And it's almost like another Monty Python sketch, Mr. Neutron, where they keep, this guy is acting ordinary, and they say, "Look, the most dangerous man in the world." He really is. So maybe we should talk about Trump as Mr. Neutron. But it's so amazing that they expect voters to fall for it. Now, there are a certain batch of voters who are going to fall for it. The Bernie voters are going to fall for that. And the Bernie voters are going to fall for that because they fall for socialism. Because socialism according to socialists, it will always work the next time. The next time. And it's an amazing, amazing thing to watch people deal with this stuff and act as though it's something sane. And it's funny. But the thing is, again, you're trying to win an election. And you're trying to win an election after losing to this guy previously. Now, in 2016, you could say Trump's going to enslave people. Trump's going to destroy people. Trump's going to do all of these things and harm people. Yet, instead, prosperity keeps coming. Good things keep coming. So you could actually try and make that play in 2016 before he was elected. You could even make that play in 2017 during his first year, because things hadn't started yet. But now we've had 3+ years of Donald Trump. People see what he does and how he does it. And because they see what he does and how he does it, playing these cards is not going to work among the voters you need to win. You can't claim that Trump is the Kamikaze Scotsman trying to lull you into a false sense of security by giving you prosperity, a good home, and a steady job, Because I'm sorry. I mean, if you really want to play that card, if you want to play Trump as Kamikaze Scotsman, you go ahead. You go ahead and make that case and try and make it stick. I mean, God bless you, as they would say down south. If you really think that that's going to be a winner, it ain't going to be a winner. And now you have it with the coronavirus again, trying to form a panic. But what happens when millions don't die? Although, in fairness, since the coronavirus is spread fecally to some degree, there is some danger of deaths. And that danger of deaths are in cities like San Francisco, where you have poop maps because there's so much shit on the floor. It's an amazing and it's a stupid, stupid thing. And I cannot believe that there are people who are going to fall for it. At least I can't believe that the swing voters are going to fall for it. I mean, like I said, the Bernie Sanders voters, the people who buy communism, they're going to fall for it because they've already fallen for stuff. If you're foolish enough to fall for socialism, if you're ignorant enough to fall for socialism, if you're ignorant enough to fall for communism, after a history of it failing forever, then yeah, you're ignorant enough to fall for this. You're stupid enough to fall for this. But those are votes that Trump didn't have last time. But it gets worse than that for them. I mean, think of it this way. And I'll give you an example for myself. The day Barack Obama was elected president, I had a really good job, best job I ever had. I was working from home, had great benefits, making more money than I was ever making in my life. I was sitting pretty. I had money in my pension account and so forth. By the time Barack Obama left office, I was making 45% of what I had been making. I was working as a temp, third shift, with no benefits, and had used up most of my money I'd put aside for retirement because things had been so bad. Now, Donald Trump's, and that's where the state I was in, where Donald Trump was elected. Since Donald Trump has been elected, I'm now on second shift with a full-time job with a pay 50 to 60% higher than what it was when Obama left office. I have excellent benefits. I'm still nowhere near where I was. It's going to take more than 4 years of Trump for me to try and get back to where I was. And of course, I'm going to be 57 in a few months, so it's not like I'm younger, so I'm not as attractive an employee as some other people might be. But I can't be the only one in that situation. It's got to be a lot of people in that situation who were temps or didn't have jobs or didn't have a pair of jobs and are now doing well. Or more importantly, think of students getting out of college who had tons of student debt and couldn't find a job 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, or 8 years ago, or 10 years ago during the Obama years. They had a ton of student debt and had no prospects. Now, imagine you're a college student graduating now, and the job market's crazy. If you had an older brother or older sister who graduated 4 years earlier and couldn't find work, you know the difference. Or an older brother or sister who's now working, who wasn't working 4 years ago. If you have family members who are now working, who weren't working during Obama years, if you have a job and prospects coming out of college, when your friends or your older brother's friends or older sister's friends did not a few years earlier, you know the difference. And all of the Kamikaze Scotsman talk from the media isn't going to change that. Isn't going to change it at all. And it's hilarious to see the media play. But then again, what else can they do? What are their options? They don't have a whole lot of options because Trump has emasculated them. And one of the reasons why they Trump is able to emasculate them, and it's an advantage unique to Trump, is that he was defined to the American public before he ran for president. People knew who he was. People's opinion of him was already established. So you really couldn't, the media couldn't define him to the public because there was no one else. People, you know, it's not like, let's say I ran for office tomorrow. Most people don't know me. So they will find out about me either through the interviews I've done, through podcasts or whatever. And the problem is that the media would be the way that I would get introduced to the people. And thus the media would define me, which can be a very bad thing if they want to destroy you. Donald Trump has already been in media for years. Donald Trump has been around for a very long time. So the media could not define him. They could not redefine him in a way that would change people's minds about him. And you'll have to pardon me for a second. I want to tweet out that the podcast is going on so I can grab a few more people. I'm not I'm not as proficient holding the mic with one hand and doing this with the other. I probably should have a headset, but I'm used to a microphone. Used to a microphone from my radio days. Rather have a microphone than the old headset business. But the bottom line is they could not redefine him. And then they made a second huge mistake, and that's telecasting the rallies. Now they did that because they thought Trump was going to lose anyways, and because it was great ratings. And the media, actually, Trump has been great for the media in the sense that he's given them profits because the people who hate him to such a degree that they can't get enough of hating him. MSNBC has a whole market on hating Trump. And one might say this seems very foolish, but it's a niche market. You can make a good living on a niche market. Remember, if you have a 1% niche in the United States, that's 3 million people. If you have a 1/10 of 1%, that's 300,000 people. And 300,000 people, so you can sell advertising to people to sell to 300,000 folks. You can support a small network on that. You can support a group of people on that. You can make a living on a niche market. Like comic books, for example. I used to have a comic book store back in the 80s. It's a niche market. You can make a living off a niche market. And Trump hatred is a niche market, which is why the Never Trump people are so. That's why so many people went Never Trump. They decided that was going to be a market, and they were going to corner it. They were going to make their money off of that. And people, and in a sense, I can't blame people for doing that because there's only so many big money media seats. And if the niche market, for example, at MSNBC is hate Trump, and if you hate Trump, you get that high five, 6-figure, or even 7-figure contract. If you don't, you don't. What are you going to do if you're the media guy? You're going to start hating Trump because that's paying your bills. That's keeping you employed. People are going to do what's in their own self-interest, and they have decided, for whatever reason, that it's in their own self-interest to become a niche market of anti-Trump alarmism. And because, again, it's really stupid on their part, but in terms of trying to stop him, but that's where it is. And of course, they showed the rallies for a long time. And because they showed the rallies, that meant that Trump could get his message out unfiltered. And people could hear what he was actually saying. You're a pundit saying, well, Trump actually said this, Trump. But the point is, you could actually see it for yourself. It's very hard to tell people who have just watched something that they've actually watched something else. There's a famous old scene. Uh, I can, I forget the name of the movie, but it was talking about how to deny it, deny it, deny it. And this woman walks into her bedroom and sees her husband with another woman. And she's, Holly, how could you? What? And all he does is keep saying, wait, pretending that nothing's going on. And calmly gets dressed. The woman he's with gets dressed and leaves. But you and that other woman. And finally he's over there, what woman? And she's already gone. And eventually his wife is convinced that she's imagined it. And that's the game they're playing with this stuff. And it hasn't worked. And again, to win, they're going to have to expand their base. The Trump voters are going to vote for him again because he's delivered. I mean, remember, I wasn't a Trump voter at first. I was a Ted Cruz man. And when Cruz finally dropped out and it was only Trump, I thought about it for a week before I endorsed Trump. I endorsed Trump just before the Republican convention because I thought it was important to make the endorsement before the convention. And I endorsed him again. The second time I endorsed him was the day the Billy Bush tape come out because I knew what that was about. I knew it was BS. And I think it's really funny to watch this thing happen. It's even funnier with Harvey Weinstein convicted now. All these people who are saying how wonderful it is that Weinstein's been convicted have to remember that the only reason why Weinstein was convicted is Donald Trump is president. Hillary Clinton is president. Harvey Weinstein is not convicted. He's not charged. Me Too doesn't happen because Harvey Weinstein is a friend of Hillary's. And Hillary would have been president. Harvey Weinstein would not be convicted. Jeffrey Epstein would still be alive and still be playing around, so to speak. None of these things happen without Trump. And if you told me in November 1st of 2016 that Donald Trump would have the accomplishments he has today, I wouldn't have believed you. Wouldn't have bought it. Wouldn't have thought it was possible. If he had accomplished half of what he'd accomplished, I'd be happy. Of course, if he had just accomplished the pro-life stuff, I'd be ecstatic. But all of this, again, these are the cards the media is playing. And the media cards are getting worse and worse. And to quote Glenn Reynolds, something that can't go on forever won't. You can't sell this forever. You can make a living off of it. You can make a niche market living off of it. And guys like Bill Kristol and Rick Wilson have making a living off of it. Guys on MSNBC are making a living off of it. But you can't do it forever. You can't, in terms of convincing the public. Now, right now, the Democrats are in panic mode over Bernie the socialist. Now, if I was at CPAC, I'd be talking to everybody right now, and they've decided to go all in on we're not going to be socialists. Apparently, Vice President Pence made a big speech about how America will not be socialist. I haven't heard the speech because I work till midnight, which is why the midnight court starts at 12:30. But it's a wonder to see them play these cards. And they're really talking to themselves. I mean, and Twitter, for example, is the reverse iceberg, where 90% of the opinion is really 10%. The noise that 90% of the people make represents maybe another 10%. It's like an iceberg. The most of it is under the surface. Twitter, most of it is above the surface. It's mostly phony. As I've tweeted many times, Twitter isn't real life. Act accordingly. Act accordingly. Twitter is not real life. The only real thing about it is Trump's tweets, in the sense that he uses it to get his stuff out beyond the media. And that's another thing that Donald Trump does. And that's another reason why all those people say, I wish you wouldn't tweet, are wrong. Trump forces the media he doesn't react to the media. He forces the media to react to him. And if they're reacting, they're not in a position to push their agenda as well. which is why you have the Russia, 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 the Ukraine, 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 and now the virus, virus, virus business. These are the cards they have. They're not good cards. Now, you can sometimes, if you're playing poker, you can sometimes win with bad cards if you can run a bluff. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the hardest thing to predict is the future. But based on past experience, based on simple logic that if you've lost an election and you want to win the next one, you have to either increase your turnout in the key states beyond what the original one is, or you have to switch some votes. Now, granted, a lot of the left did not see Donald Trump coming last time. So there's a very good chance that places like Milwaukee, places like Madison, places like Philadelphia, places like Lansing, places like Detroit, you're going to see massive voter fraud because they know Trump is coming. But also Trump knows that's coming too, so he'll be taking steps to counter it. But you have to expand rather than contract. And right now, they've got it. They're contracting. The Bernie Sanders thing causes them to contract. If Mike Bloomberg's the nominee, the Bernie Sanders people aren't going to vote for him. And if the Bernie Sanders people think he's been robbed, they're not going to vote. Or they might become a third party, which is why I think they really embraced all this communism stuff because they didn't want to chase these people away because it's all coalitions. These are all coalitions. So that's why they're playing this game. That's why they're playing Trump as Kamikaze Scotsman. Trump, Donald Trump is giving you a false sense of security by giving you a steady job, a prosperity, and all of these things. This is all about deceiving you. And maybe maybe the majority of the black community is going to fall for that. But remember, when you're getting 90% of a segment of the vote, if Trump turns that 90% into 80, which is still a ridiculous amount of the black vote, that's catastrophe for the Democrats. If you're getting 70% of the Hispanic Trump vote and Trump turns it to 60, that's a catastrophe. And people who have gotten jobs, people who are now working who were not working 4 years ago, people who are getting out of college who have prospects when their older brothers and sisters did not 4 years ago, people who have potential, people whose 401ks are going up, those people aren't going to be convinced by this stuff. They're just not. And no amount of pretending, no amount of this hype is going to make a difference. It's just not going to happen. Well, that's all I really got for tonight. We've gone on for about a half hour. The plan is to make the Tech Guy Midnight Courts around 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Don't want to go longer than that because I always do stream of consciousness. I like to say what's coming into my mind. So a couple of things I want to bring up before we go. I want to remind anyone listening, either the people who are listening live right now or to the people who will watch the podcast later, that we do have the Catholic radio show, Your Prayer Intentions, every Saturday at noon on WQPH 89.3 FM. I want to remind you that if you have prayer, that the show is taped. So if you have prayer requests, you can email them to us at WQPH893@comcast.net or reply to my tweets. I put out a warning before I put them out. And the next Midnight Court is going to be Monday around 12:30. Again, when I get out of work, I'm going to come home, take care of a thing or two. Then the Tech Guys Midnight Court will be back. This is going to be the regular podcast. And if you have suggestions on how to improve it, feel free to send them in. Feel free to let us know. I'd like to make this I'd like to make this work out. I'd like to do this regular. But most importantly, I want it to be something worth your time. Now, I know that because it's midnight Eastern time and 1 in the morning Eastern time, it's not going to be a lot of people live. But that's all right. You can always watch it as a YouTube video later. That's fine with me. Well, that's all for me tonight. This is Pete the Tech Guy. It's techguyblog.com. That's DaTechGuy blog.com. Saying so long. Thanks for spending some time with us. And the Tech Guy's Midnight Court is now adjourned. We will reconvene Monday around 12:30, 12:45 a.m. The court is adjourned.